Going, everybody. Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian, and it is Monday here on this show. You know what that means? Got a lot to talk about here today, and we're largely back to normal. We got a lot of shows coming up today. I am here for Observer Live. Filthy Tom Lawler's coming up, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. Filthy Show is back. And Observer Radio tonight. And on all of those shows, we got a bunch of news to talk about and reviews. And I can tell you right now, talk about it a little bit more later, I watched the entire WWE Speed Tournament. We're going to be reviewing that on the Filthy Tom Show today, which should be a speedy review, quite frankly, but we're going to do it. We're also going to talk about the Raw show tonight, and of course, that's coming off the big WWE pay-per-view, Backlash Paris, which was a great show with, I think, arguably the best crowd in the history of WWE in terms of how loud they were, how they absolutely refused to shut up for 3 solid hours. They didn't get tired. In fact, from hearing from people who had their noise gimmicks going off all night, I mean, it was as louder in the main event than it was in the opener, which is crazy. But we'll talk about that show and then all of the other news, including Ric Flair claiming that he believes that he suffered a heart attack in his last match. Did you see that last match? Well, I can't say I would be the least bit surprised if that were true. We've got WrestleMania heading to Las Vegas for the first time since 1993. Hopefully it will be a better show. We have got an update on why they did not go to Minnesota, and plenty more. Lots to get into after the break. Observer Live. F4WOnline.com/Vegas. That is F4WOnline.com/Vegas. The annual convention is coming to, yes, Las Vegas. It is taking place over Double or Nothing weekend, and Double or Nothing has now been confirmed for that weekend, the weekend of May 24 through 27, 2024, in Las Vegas. And we are going to be there. Who is we? Well, no Dave this year, but I will be there. Vinny will be there.
Yes, sir.
JJ here says he's going to be there on the chat. Our old friend JJ. A lot of people are going to be there. And we've got a lot of events. And if you're thinking of going to Vegas for the convention, you should go. It's awesome. We have people that went to the convention in like 2006, and they have made friends for life that they are still friends with today. You're going to have a good time. You're in Vegas. You're hanging out with people from this site. Everybody hangs out together, has a great time. It's like, it's pretty much impossible to not have a good time. I think there was once a guy who didn't have a good time. That's the rumor. But in general, you know, aside from that guy, everyone's always had a great time. Here is the full schedule of events. F4WOnline.com/Vegas. Friday, May 24th, we have the F4W dinner, Texas de Brazil. All you can eat steak, sodas, tea, and dessert. You have to buy your own alcohol for this one. But that's my highlight, to be honest. Then Saturday, May 25th, there is a meet and greet with Vinny and I, followed by, it says a live Q&A, but you know what it is, everybody? It's a live Bryan and Vinny show. We'll answer your questions. We can do a Q&A. We can talk about old wrestling. We could talk about stuff we reviewed in the past. You can ask Vinny questions about whatever. Same with me. And by the way, there are pork chops at Texas de Brazil.
How about
I can
that?
confirm, yes. Yeah. But this is going to be a lot of fun, this Q&A. We've got Ed's Podair show on May 25th, Saturday as well. And then in the evening, there will be an F4W suite party, which Vinny and I will also be making an appearance at. Sunday, there's the F4W brunch at the Wicked Spoon in the Cosmo. And tickets for all of these events are limited. And we have added something very special. If you do want to go to everything. If you would like to go to the Q&A, the meet and greet, and also sit in our section with Vinny and I at Double or Nothing, you can get a combo pack, and there's only a few left. So if you want that, you got to go like ASAP. A Double or Nothing ticket, the meet and greet, and the Q&A with Vinny and I. It's a special package. There's only a few left. We also have packages, the meet and greet, the Q&A, and the wrestling show, Ed's Wrestling Show. And, of course, tickets for the Texas Day Brazil dinner, suite party, and the brunch. So I recommend you guys go.
I've always had a fun time. It's probably my favorite time of year pretty much every year.
Bro, if Vinny... Show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. And yes, I guess I do have to rebook some rooms in Vegas. Oh, well. Such is life. WrestleMania officially heading back to Vegas for the first time since '93. We got the city right, but not the date. They actually will be running WrestleMania on Easter Sunday, Saturday, April 19th, and Saturday, April 20, 2025. Easter. Not sure I can go now.
Surprised by that.
By Easter?
Yeah, by them running on Easter.
Well, the reason they're running on Easter, and they always avoided Easter, because, it's Easter and all, but apparently Vegas requested Easter weekend because, a lot of people don't travel to Vegas on Easter weekend. So they figured, okay, well, we'll give them something to come to Vegas for on Easter weekend. And that will be 2 nights of WrestleMania. Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders. SummerSlam 2021 was the first WWE event to be held there. They announced that, hey, if you want to go to Vegas, better go to Vegas because they will be doing Raw, SmackDown, the 2025 Hall of Fame ceremony, NXT Stand and Deliver, and the WWE World Convention. So, of course, the last time they ran was that WrestleMania in Vegas where Jim Ross debuted in a toga, and Hulk Hogan showed up and beat Yokozuna for the title.
The WrestleMania 9.
And then disappeared, and then came back to do one job, and then was never seen again.
Yeah, but you did have that awesome Head Shrinkers Steiners match, so there was that.
Brother, I am not going to Vegas to see one good match. But I would strongly suspect that this WrestleMania is going to be significantly better.
They got 2 days to figure it out.
And I got a year to figure it out because, I always go to WrestleMania, except for this year. I enjoy going to WrestleMania. Despite what some people on Twitter think, I've been to like a dozen, actually more than that. How many WrestleManias did I go to? 14 or something like that, maybe more.
Oh.
But I didn't go this year. And as a result of not going, man, we had a heck of a Mania weekend here on the site. And we did like 3 shows a day for like 4 straight days. And it was actually pretty fun. So I got to figure out, like, is it more worthwhile to go to Vegas to watch these shows or, like, do 3 shows a day for 4 straight days? Guess we'll have to figure it out.
You don't want to, overextend yourself when it comes to Vegas.
I've never overextended myself ever.
Really? Not, you don't want to push it, though.
I'm constantly underextended.
You start making 2 Vegas trips a year because of the convention going on in AEW and WrestleMania. I mean, can you handle all this, old man?
It's not an issue of that. It's an issue of my responsibilities to my constituency here at F4WOnline.com. They were going to run Minnesota, but it did not happen due to, quote, a change in direction by new ownership, which essentially means new ownership didn't want to go to Minnesota in the cold, so they're going to go to the warm place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, no surprise there.
But, we've been talking, they said. We've been discussing. Well, they'll be here at some point.
Yeah, they're giving them something.
Once the earth is warmed enough that it's like warm in Minnesota, you'll see a WrestleMania there.
Maybe 2025's SummerSlam would be perfect for Minneapolis.
Yes. Brian says Vegas is in the desert. It's not cold. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Tom about it. Sometimes it is cold there in the desert. But I don't think it's going to be in mid-April. But we shall see. But not the first week of May. The first week of May. So I guess we'll have to figure that out. Well, anyway, that's WrestleMania, everybody. We've been waiting. Now we have the answer. We also have this. Ric Flair believes he suffered a heart attack during his final match. He was on the Jackson podcast last month. He said, I went to get what's called a calcium scan, which I'd never had before, because a couple of guys died in our business of heart issues, so it kind of scared me. A couple of guys? They give you the nuclear stress test, shoot you with the dye, put you on the treadmill, everything. 2 days of 3 hours of tests 6 months ago. Guy takes me in, and if you look at your heart like a round pie, there's a piece of my heart right here, this big, it's black, and it's gone. The guy said, you had a heart attack. You had a heart attack in the last 2 years. He said, have you passed out in the last 2 years? And during my last match, I passed out 3 times. I thought it was because I was dehydrated. So I went in the locker room with Kid Rock and Taker, just drank 2 bottles of Gatorade, went back out to Kid Rock's place all night long, but I had a heart attack. A couple of weeks after the match, Flair mentioned on his podcast he had passed out twice during the match. Again, noted he believed it was due to dehydration. Mentioned the Undertaker insisted he drink Gatorade rather than beer when he got back to the locker room. Now that's a locker room leader, that Undertaker. He knew. He knew. You know, when you do a match and you pass out twice,
3 times.
it's best to go back and have some Gatorade and not beer.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Undertaker.
Yeah, really.
Swear to God, he says, twice during the match. I went completely black. Hands started to tremble. Yep, but it was all dehydration. I had 2 doctors in there right away with me and everything. Undertaker came running in and said I had 6 beers there. He took them out of my hand and said, you're drinking 2 Gatorades first. I said, Gatorade? So I drank 2, and that was all it was. If you guys don't remember what happened here,
let them know.
Well, Flair was going to have his last match. And I think part of the story that people might forget is that he actually did train really hard.
Oh, will you stop?
Well, hold on. He trained very hard.
For a 70-something-year-old man with heart issues.
Hold on a minute. Let me continue.
Yes, go ahead.
He trained very, very hard. We had videos that came out prior to the match of him training, and he looked all right, you know.
Jay Lethal.
I'm not saying that I would have allowed him to do the match. I'm just saying, like, if you watch the videos that came out before the match, it did not look like he would have a problem getting through a tag team match, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, what happened was, well, it was the weekend of the match. It was like the day of the match. And he did all of this preparation and everything. And then when the day came, apparently he decided, God darn, I'm Ric Flair. And so it was all out the window. He was drinking, up all night, drinking. And, you know, I don't know if you guys wrestle or not. It's not a good thing to do when you're like 30 and he was in his 70s. So, like, I mean, he not only fell off the wagon, but, like, you know, he pushed the wagon off the cliff, dropped the boulder off the cliff onto the wagon. I mean, he just, like, went hog wild. And then he got in there and, I mean, it was
sad.
A calamity is what it was. Sad doesn't even begin to describe how this match was.
Pathetic.
And he did, I mean, sometimes wrestlers tell stories and they're like full of it. I don't doubt for 1 second he had a heart attack in this match. Not for 1 second.
No,
watching the match. Forget what we heard afterwards. Watching the match. He just like collapsed and was like dead. I'm not even joking, during the match. I was like, is that guy ever going to get up? I mean, it was a disaster.
Slumped over the ropes. Ugh.
Yeah, this was horrible. So anyway, you know, he very well, we could have all just watched him die in the middle of the ring of that match. And somehow he didn't. I mean, because he's Ric Flair, and I mean, you know the things this guy's been through? That he survived? I mean, that's one of the reasons he did all that, is because he's always survived. And so, well, that's a story with Ric Flair. Don't doubt it for a second.
No, not at all. He would make it to Vegas. If there were multiple Vegas shows, he's going to Vegas every single time, Brian. He didn't care. He's Ric Flair.
Well, I'm not. But I will be back in a moment because I'm Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live.
From the rent-to-own Auto Arena, the first match on tonight's Portland wrestling card. Ladies' Choice versus beautiful Bryan Alvarez. This match is being brought to you in part by Cars to Go.
Fans action in the ring already here on Portland Wrestling. Ladies' Choice, Bryan Alvarez in the ring. Bryan Alvarez, of course, out with Miss Rento-Nato. Ladies' Choice coming over and making a proposition, I guess, to Miss Rento-Nato here on the corner.
I guess so, Frank. You know, this is Moondog Ed Moretti out here sitting with you, and I wanted to see this match because Ladies' Choice got a lot to prove, and Bryan Alvarez is a man on a mission.
Bryan Alvarez will whip it over. A big clothesline puts LC down. Another hard chop. Bryan Alvarez really taking control. There he goes for the pin. He wins 1, 2, 2.5, almost a 3 count. Third man in the ring, Mark Watson, a terrific referee. Bryan Alvarez with the whip. A big drop kick. That's that gymnastics background from Bryan Alvarez. Ed Moretti, great to have you out here on this, your final night of wrestling in professional
This is it, Frank. This is my last night, and it's an honor to be here at Portland Wrestling, and I'm calling it quits after tonight.
Bryan Alvarez pounding away on Ladies' Choice. This is the first time we've got to see Ladies' Choice. He talks a lot. He has a lot of things he likes to say. There's a snap suplex by Bryan Alvarez. Takes LC right over, hooks, goes for the pin. There's 1, 2, almost a 3 count by Mark Watson again, but not quite. Bryan Alvarez, now he's looking over at his lady in the corner, says it's all over. Ladies' Choice, as I was saying, talks a lot. There you can see, I'm not sure that's professional wrestling action. We haven't seen much out of him yet. A low blow.
Well, it's a shortcut he took, and it worked to his advantage because Alvarez is laying on the mat, and here goes Ladies' Choice up the top here.
Ladies' Choice up top. A big splash. He hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. It's
There
all
it is,
over.
Frank.
Ladies' Choice, he calls that move the one-night stand, and I think that's all he's good for. But here on Portland Wrestling, Ladies' Choice wins his initial debut.
He's lived up to his reputation, Frank.
Ladies' Choice was able to back it up. Now he's coming. Now he's looking Miss Rento. Oh, none too happy with Bryan Alvarez losing once again. Looks like Ladies' Choice is coming over. He's saying, you need to come with me.
Uh-oh.
He's talking about how small Bryan Alvarez's hands are. I don't understand what. She's leaving with him. Bryan Alvarez cannot believe it.
Oh my
Bryan Alvarez,
goodness.
he's coming outside. He's got a steel chair.
Got a chair,
he's
Frank.
going after him. Bryan Alvarez throws the chair. Wrestlers out to hold Bryan Alvarez away. He wants a piece of Ladies' Choice. He's not done with him. He wants his woman back. $49.95 in a driver's license. You can be approved at Rittone. I know Bryan Alvarez has that much money.
Oh, he's livid, Frank, and you can't blame him. You know, there's what he works for is leaving out the door with the Ladies' Choice.
Ladies' Choice leaving with his woman, Bryan Alvarez. He is furious, fans. We'll be right back. We have to get control of this situation.
Yo, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, we had a great pay-per-view over the weekend, Backlash France. Thanks mostly to these completely nutty fans in France. These Frans, as I like to call them.
Nutty French folk.
I watched a lot of wrestling for a long time. I was there in that WrestleMania building where they did Triple H versus The Undertaker. And I believe Triple H gave The Undertaker a tombstone piledriver and crossed his arms and made the cover. And Undertaker kicked out. And I'm pretty sure, of all the shows I've ever been to, I'm pretty sure that was the single loudest pop I've ever heard in my life, was that one right there. And this was that for 4 hours, 3 hours.
Road Warriors pop for the entire show.
Dude, these people did not shut up.
No.
For 3 hours. It's my ear
In
itch.
French.
3 hours they didn't shut up.
It was great.
Absolutely haywire. There was a moment during Cody's entrance where the crowd's singing his song, and they hit that crescendo, and people's gimmicks registered 126 dB.
Dangerous.
Guys want to look? It's more than dangerous. It's 6 dBs above dangerous.
What would that be?
Jet engine.
Crazy dangerous?
Jet engine. That's how loud it was. And all night, people's gimmicks were going off. And, I mean, I'm sure it's happened at other shows, but the only other time I can remember is there was an AEW show where Don Callis came out and they booed him so loud that people's noise gimmicks went off. So it has happened before in wrestling.
Remember that Marshawn Lynch run? And that should be germane to you. Where he broke through, and I think they beat the Saints, and they caused an earthquake and a decibel warning to go off all around Seattle.
Yes, I do remember that. I don't think it actually caused an earthquake, but that's a fun story to tell.
Well, hey. Yes,
this may have caused an earthquake, however,
there.
in France when they sang Cody's song.
Richter, baby.
And, you know, the things to talk about on the show were, number one, how awesome the crowd was.
Yes.
They will be going back to a stadium. It's pretty much what Triple H suggested.
Good.
And they would be foolish not to.
Do it every May. Do it.
I don't know about every May. Got to make these people wait.
Well, move it around a little bit. That's one of the reasons that they were so rabid. They've never had a show in that city before.
You know, there was actually a lot of pro wrestling and jiu-jitsu in Paris back in the day. It was a hotbed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Over 100 years ago. But now they're back, and so they're excited.
Yeah, well.
And so anyway, the show, besides the crowd,
beats the hell out of Jerome LeBanner.
The other two things to talk about are they are really lifting these in-ring restrictions on these shows. We saw some crazy stuff on this show. And we saw a brain buster on the ring apron, which was actually in both of these cases. I need to talk about it. We saw a burning hammer also in the main event. Like Cody and AJ's match, I mean, it was a total New Japan match. I mean, it was none of the WWE. Really, on the show, the only people that are still doing that kind of old school WWE style are the guys that, like, that's all they know. Jey Uso. I mean, Jey Uso is in there, and he's doing the match that he knows, which is do a bunch of super kicks, yeet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, the guys that have been all over the place, and, you know, Solo's another one. You know, he's been around there forever. I think he did a couple of indies before he went to WWE. But, I mean, you know, the guys that have been all over the world, they're now pretty much allowed to do, I don't want to say whatever they want, because some places, you know, I don't want to say the guys will always use other guys' finishes, but like, you know, Nick Wayne and Will Ospreay, they all do some version of the Os Cutter. And here, it's like no one else is allowed to do the stunner because that's Kevin's move. Nobody else is allowed to do, you know, whatever. But other than that, I mean, it's like go to town. And I'll talk about also with Filthy. Brother, I had so much fun watching that WWE Speed tournament. I had so much fun. And that freaking Ricochet Dragon Lee match that was the opener, which was the wildest 3-minute sprint you've ever seen. I mean, they sprinted for 3 minutes with poison ranas and like every crazy move in the book. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, that was a fun tournament. But anyway, that's the other thing to talk about is just how you know, guys are allowed to go out there and do what they want now in a much different way. And then, like all the matches, I mean, there was no bad match on the show. It was 5 matches. The show was over in 2 hours and 50 minutes. It didn't even go past the 3-hour mark. They didn't have a bunch of stupid stuff in between matches. You know, they had a video package recapping what happened, but then got everybody to the ring, went to town, and it was a very enjoyable, easy, fun, good 3-hour pay-per-view. I loved it. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens beat Solo and Tama when we got the debut of Tangaloa. The Gorillas of Destiny are in WWE, pretty much referenced as such by the announcers. And apparently Tangaloa him and Tama signed at the same time, but because Tama Tonga had done that, he'd made it a thing in New Japan. I will be leaving. I'm leaving New Japan. And then New Japan made a thing out of it. He is leaving. And then, it was obvious where he was going. And then, he showed up for the Bloodline. But, I don't want to say no one cared about Tangaloa, but nobody cared about Tangaloa. It's not even like a story. And then he showed up. So they still have one more. They have Jacob Fatu, one more new Bloodline member still to debut.
You sure about that?
He'll show up at some point, yeah.
How about Hikuleo? What about him?
Well, Hikuleo could show up at some point, but
yeah,
I think he's still under New Japan
That's
contract.
the person that if WWE's going to bring these guys in, not to speak poorly upon the former Camacho or Tamatonga, but they're older and they're a little slower. And Hikuleo is certainly would be a project for WWE. He's a project for New Japan right now, but he's got the type of look and he's got the height that actually stands out, and youth is definitely on his side.
Then we had Bayley, Tiffany, and Naomi for the women's title. Bayley retained the title, pinning Naomi with a cradle. Very good match. They did a great job. They've figured out, Tiffany still has a ways to go, but they figured out she does a few great things, and we're going to work a match around them. And she looked good. Bayley did a great job. The fans love Bayley. I mean, she wasn't the most over person on the show. I think everybody was the most over person on this show, but she certainly at points during this match felt like the most over person on the planet. We had Jey Uso and Damian Priest, world title, and this was a match that would have been like a good, solid, strong match, but then when you added in this crowd, especially in the last 5 minutes when they're doing near falls and kickouts and everything, it turned into an excellent match by the end. Way better than the WrestleMania match with Jay and Jimmy. And the story was that JD interfered, Finn Balor interfered, Priest was getting more and more angry that they wouldn't leave him alone. And then after he won, they went to work on Jay again, and Priest pulled them off. He told them, knock it off, it's over, stand here, I'm celebrating. So he is trying to take over the Judgment Day, and the other guys ain't happy with it. We had Damage Control and Jade Cargill against Bianca. I'm sorry, Damage Control versus Jade Cargill and Bianca. And in the words of Corey Graves, it wasn't pretty at points. But in the end, by the end of the match, I would classify this as a good match. It was the weakest match on the show because they had two spots in this match. Not even spots. A spot is usually there were two extended segments during this match where everybody got lost, okay? Now, you hear this. Jade Cargill and Bianca versus Damage Control. Match fell apart in two spots. I'm sure some of you were thinking must be Jade. Jade had nothing to do with it. The first time it happened, she wasn't even in the ring. The second time it happened, it was the referee. And then something happened. I don't know if it was all the referee's fault or maybe Kyrie made a tag when she wasn't supposed to. But, the referee was not allowing them to do what they needed to do. And he literally threw a monkey wrench right in the middle of this match. And so they had to figure out how to make a tag, get somebody else in, do a couple spots, make another tag, and then go back to where they were supposed to be. All because this ref was like, you're not legal. And then at the end, the ref allowed the illegal person to get the pin, which I don't think was supposed to happen. So anyway, someone probably yelled at him, quit enforcing the rules. And then he screwed up the end too. But anyway, Jade and Bianca won the titles. And if you watch SmackDown, everybody, if you watch SmackDown, and I'm going to bring this up to Tom.
Oh, okay.
I was not wrong. Bianca is going heel. They've started a slow turn to Bianca going heel. And I believe, somebody was asking the other night, who do you think is going to main event a pay-per-view first? Jade or Tiffany? And everybody was immediately Tiffany. Well, let me tell you something. Maybe, but I think Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill is going to headline a pay-per-view before anything else.
I can see it.
Because that one's coming down the road.
I'm not ready for it, though. I need
Not
edge
anytime
control.
soon.
No.
Nowhere before WrestleMania.
Got to keep them together for right now.
And then Cody and AJ, undisputed title, 26 minutes, great match. Cody obviously won with the Crossroads. Excellent pro wrestling show. We can talk more details and more news after the break, so stick around, Observer Live.
That is the greatest view in the world, as you could probably all see. And there's nothing in this world after I see that view that can annoy me. Vince, on your worst day, after I look at the view, you could not annoy me with anything you did. Now, I think that before we look at the rest of the house here, look at all the rooms, that we should take a tour of the... Please stop looking at me. A tour of the grounds, because there's like 164 acres here, and we should get through all that before we look at all the other stuff. We'll look at the grounds, we'll come back in here, we'll look at the recreational area, we'll look at the swimming pool, the spa, and the movie room. Some of you probably think that I'm just doing this to brag, because like I said, there's like, I don't know, 140 acres on this, I call it the ranch. But there's actually a reason that we're coming out here today, and that is because there's something buried out here. And it's going to be unearthed today in this video for the first time ever. It's like Al Capone's tomb, Al Capone's whatever that Geraldo Rivera did. That's what we're doing today. And so, Vince, let's go. Listen, buried in this spot right here, where I have the stick marking it, is the very first wrestling newsletter. Before the Observer, before the Wrestling Flyer, before the Wrestling Eye, before the Bagpipe Report, before all of them. In fact, probably before most newsletters that were ever written. It is buried in this spot. And I know that most of you who have watched this today and seen my opulence probably think that I have never done a day of hard, menial labor in my life. Never sweated under the hot, boiling sun, never toiled. The fact is, somebody had to dig this hole. Dude, dig, the sun's going down.
Back of the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So I guess there was some big to-do with Triple H this weekend at the press conference.
Apparently.
Do you know what happened?
I know a little.
I don't want to mess it up here.
Well,
because I got enough to do without worrying about these kind of feuds. What happened?
Well, apparently there was a question from a French reporter about the Drew Gulak situation and getting clarity on that, whether he was fired or not, and if that had anything to do with the Ronda Rousey allegations. And Triple A, he cited Fightful and PW Insider. Now, I don't know whether they reported it initially or not. Didn't peel back too many layers on this, but apparently Triple H responded by saying, if you're going to cite sources, at least make them reputable ones. That led to people then, of course, saying that he buried them, and apparently both Fightful and PW Insider, at least Sean Ross Sapp, said that they did not report that, and also that, at least in Sean's case, he got a response from somebody at WWE, I'm not sure who it was, that wanted to apologize and kind of give an olive branch. So from there, I don't really know anything about it. It didn't interest me at all over the weekend. There was so much Drake and Kendrick Lamar going on that I had wanted to put more of my time into that. And then I saw the pay-per-view, and that was great. And the press conference stuff at this point in both companies is not something that interests me. And if there's actual news that comes out about it, cool, I'll deal with that. But when it comes to all this sort of stuff, it's just kind of ridiculous. And apparently that mushroomed into a thing online, which it always does, over how WWE treats the media and who they let in there, and Triple H's response and how the media deals with Triple H's response. And it's
all right.
basically
Well, let me
a big cluster all in a big old circle.
You know what's funny about all of this? There's so much funny about all of this. Okay?
The fact that I had to say anything about it and you just sat back?
No, I'm going to talk about it now. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew the backstory.
I guess
because you probably knew it better than I did.
I was saying, did I get it right?
I think
Because
so.
Really,
it appears
good.
You got it all right.
Good.
All right, so here's what's funny about all this, okay? So WWE, so we had a story, okay, about Drew Gulak and Ronda Rousey. She said that they were backstage and there were a bunch of people, and he yanked on her string on her sweatpants. And his claim was it was an accident. I went to shake her hand and I got my hand caught on it, right? That's the story, correct?
That's what he said. That's what he tweeted.
All right, so this story comes out, and Ronda tells the story, and Drew Gulak vanishes from NXT. They take his name out of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there. That's the first week. The first week, he's just not there, and they take his name out, okay?
No quarter catch crew.
Okay. And then the second week, we have a strange segment involving the No Quarter Catch crew and Tony D's crew.
Italians.
Yep. And you know, there's like some incident that happened. We don't know anything about it. And then the next week, it is revealed, without saying his name, that the No Quarter Catch crew paid the Italians to murder Drew Gulak.
He sleeps with 2 dimes.
He's gone. He's been killed. Okay. Now that happened. I thought it was abundantly clear this guy's history. Right?
I would.
Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as I tell this story.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then a little while later they start cutting people. Right? Yes. Cutting people.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where it gets interesting. I got a list
mm-hmm.
of a bunch of people that got cut.
Not handwritten.
Okay? Gulak's name is on the list. So I asked somebody else, is this list accurate? Somebody there. They said, I believe that list is accurate. But they said there might be more. They didn't say there might be less. They said there might be more. I said, okay, that's fine. So then the people from our website are asking, you know, is Gulak gone? That was the exact wording. Is Gulak gone? And I said, I believe so. I heard from several people that Gulak is gone. And they responded, I won't say the media. I don't want to get people in trouble, so I don't even say the other outlet. But they were like, such and such is reported that he is not gone, or he's not fired or whatever. So I was like, this is a little bit weird. And so then it turns out that he is gone. I use the term gone. Because then that's when it came out, well, you know, he wasn't fired. His contract wasn't renewed. That's the story. Right? He wasn't fired.
Yes, go
His
ahead.
contract wasn't renewed.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So now everybody's like, his contract wasn't renewed?
Well, yeah.
That strains credulity. So then, okay, well, you know, his contract wasn't renewed. Okay. Let's just say his contract wasn't renewed.
Situational semantics.
Let's just say that his contract just was not renewed, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Why wasn't it renewed? Well, the answer, the new answer is...
There's several now.
Well, you know, he was bullying people.
Uh-huh.
He was a bully.
Yeah.
And, he was chewed out publicly for it. He was a bully.
Spike Dante Chen.
And this and that. Mm-hmm. So now that we have the bully story, I'm sure you can see exactly where this is going.
It's like a big old spin cycle here.
So the people that are anti-WWE, they're like, oh, so now you let this guy be a bully, you employed a bully, and he just bullied and bullied and bullied and bullied people, and you only released him after this Ronda Rousey thing came out. This is now a new way to attack WWE. They allowed this bully, and then, of course, it goes into, we told you, the culture of WWE, they allowed these bullies. So at this point, I was like, okay, hold on a second. I'm not here to defend anybody. I know people like to think that that's my job, but all everyone talks about is the media and doing your job. All right, I'll do my job. So I started asking everybody that I could think of in NXT, tell me about the bullying of Drew Gulak. And I did not hear one person telling me that Drew Gulak was a known bully. I did not go to Triple H or PR or whatever. I asked the other wrestlers, the people there. Now, I'm not saying that this was totally made up whole cloth. I didn't talk to everybody there, okay? But my point is, if this was like a well-known thing that Drew Gulak was this bully and he was bullying talent and being this horrible person, like somebody I talked to would have heard something, and I didn't hear anything. They were like, never heard that story. So I did hear that, well, he could be, I don't know if I can say the word. Can I say the word hard-ass, Dom? Okay.
Sure.
There were people that said he could be a hard-ass, but I didn't hear anything about being a bully or being a, what's his name, Bill DeMott or anything like that. And, and the funny thing is, like, when I asked people, like, have you ever heard this story, like, Drew Gulak is a bully and that's why he was fired? Literally, the answer that I got was like, don't be a mark. We all know why he was fired. That's what they said. We all know why he was fired.
Well.
And I said, well, they said his contract wasn't renewed. They were like, don't be a mark. We all know what happened. You're telling me his contract just happened to not come due right when everybody else got fired? So, listen, the whole thing, what happened, I believe, okay, I can't say 100% because I don't have his release papers or whatever, but what happened was Ronda went public with her story, and that's why he's gone. And everything else, it's semantics, it's whatever. I did not hear, horrible bully who's constantly bullying people, blah, blah, blah. He may have, he's not even a trainer. That's the other thing. It's like, he's not even there as a trainer. He was there as a talent. Yes, he had other roles. He helped train Bad Bunny, which is probably why he was there for so long. Like, he was one of the guys that helped train Bad Bunny. He was one of the guys that helped Logan Paul putting his matches together. That was like one of his roles there. So when people go, well, why was he there for so long? That's why. He was helping do those things. Was there more than that? I'm sure there maybe was something where, I think Dave mentioned the daily update. Sometimes some of the talent didn't feel comfortable asking him questions or whatever. Maybe they didn't like how he answered. But as far as like, he was a horrible bully and that's why he's gone. He's gone because of what happened with Ronda. And, the funny thing about this whole Ronda Rousey thing, the funny thing about this Ronda thing?
Sure.
Ronda has her side of the story, and Drew Gulak has his side of the story. They're totally different. Correct?
Correct.
As I mentioned at the time, what is the one thing that both sides have in common?
What's that?
The one thing they both have in common when they tell this story is that there were a lot of people around. So, I said on day one, well, this should be pretty easy to figure out now, shouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interview the people that were there. They both agree that people are there. Interview them. Find out who did what, and then that's your answer. If everybody there says, yeah, he was messing with her string and doing whatever, that's it. He's done. If they say, no, nothing like that ever happened, he actually was trying to shake her hand and it got caught, we were right there, well, then it's done. We have witnesses, okay? Well, and everybody who's all anti-WWE now, do you know what happened when they asked everybody?
What's that?
It was inconclusive.
Oh, yeah?
They interviewed everybody, and, like, apparently there was, like, no, you know, it was inconclusive what happened. So here's the key. If it was inconclusive, they still sided with Ronda. They didn't side with Drew Gulak. So everybody all over WWE for all of this stuff, like they, in an inconclusive investigation, sided with Ronda Rousey, not Drew Gulak.
Now, do you
And that's what happened.
Do you believe with all of your heart, take it out and just, I'm asking you, man to man, do you believe that the investigation was inconclusive, seeing what shook out with Drew Gulak and the stuff we talked about?
Well, if you listen to what the story was, which was, her story was, as I was leaving, I felt him tug on my string, okay? Yes. She didn't say, like, he pantsed me or anything.
No.
She said, I was leaving, I felt him tug on the string.
Yeah.
He said I went to shake her hand and I got caught on her string.
Completely, that...
They're completely different. The point is, in both stories, it's like she was either walking away and felt a tug, or he went to shake and felt a tug. So I can believe that there were a bunch of people around who don't even remember it happened because it was like this, and so they can't say, well, he was doing it on purpose or it was an act. They don't know. So actually, in this case, I do believe that it probably was inconclusive. If the story had been that I was walking away and he yanked my you know, and then he had witnesses and they don't know what happened, it's like, come on.
Inconclusive still does not excuse inappropriate. And,
it doesn't, but that's the point. Like,
but
they got rid of him.
That's the thing. And bottom line is he was wrong no matter how you cut it, because what it does sound like, and God knows I don't know, is he was walking by, did the thing where, you know, he just pulled her sweatpant string, and she was like, well, what's up with this? Now, why he decided to say the handshake thing, maybe all that's true, but it sounds, when he tweeted it, like it was completely ridiculous.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Good job, dude. This is it. It's in this box. This is the very first newsletter that was ever written. I have it in the Bible here. This is where I keep it. I actually keep it pressed between the pages of the book of Job, because Job and I have a lot in common as far as being tested by the Lord each day. This is the Flying Mare. This newsletter was written, as you can see right here, in the 17th century. This was actually written by my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Perfecto. And that is damn true. This dude wrote this thing, The Flying Mare, containing a perfect collection of the proceedings in wrestling and true information from the armies. There's even a picture of Máscara Año 2000 here on the back, before he'd had his first main event. This thing is a treasure. This thing is gonna be... I'm gonna sell this to a museum someday. This is like the Gutenberg Bible. This thing is epic. Hey, Vince. Vince. What the hell are you doing? Don't... Hold that. Vince? God! Vince, let's just go. I thought we would start the tour of the inside of the facilities with the most important room in the house. This is Vince's kitchen. This is where Vince cooks my chicken tenders, my buffalo chicken wings, my mesquite chicken, my teriyaki chicken, basically all the chicken. And of course it's got here the microwave. The microwave. And of course here the oven for oven roasted chicken, shake and bake. Of course it's got all the grill here, whatever on top, all the buttons that you cook with. And of course we've got the fully stocked fridge and freezer. Basically all the amenities that one would need to cook for me. And in fact, now would be a good time for a chicken breast.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. WWE Speed! What a segue that is. I'm excited to talk about it on the Filthy Tom Show.
You're taking your time to talk about the Speed.
I got on the treadmill today, and I walked 1 mile, and by the time I was done, I'd watched the entire Speed tournament. Entire thing. Took me 18 minutes to watch the entire Speed tournament.
Now, did you watch
Start
it
to
two more
finish.
times?
Nah, I should have, actually.
Yeah.
I should watch it like every day. Because, the one thing about the tournament is, sometimes you're just kind of walking on the treadmill, got it on an incline, whatever. And you're like, I'm just walking. God, whatever. But man, when you see these guys sprinting for 3 straight minutes, you start walking a little bit faster. You're like, what am I complaining about? I'm just walking on a low hill. Man. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it here. Filthy Tom Show, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern.
Let him do it.
WrestlingObserver.com, video.f4wonline.com. We'll talk about that, SmackDown. Probably some more notes from the pay-per-view as well.
The goodbye of Jose Aldo? Will you talk about that?
I think he might have watched UFC, but I don't know.
If there wasn't any bare knuckle on.
Is there any, I don't know. I don't know what he watches. He'll just show up one day and go, I watched some, one guy against 6 from, Peru in 1984. You should watch it. I'm like, what? Where would I have ever found that? Ever. But anyway, it's going to be fun, so check it out. I'll be back later on tonight with Dave. Lots to get into, and that's that. Thanks, Mike, as always, callers and listeners, everybody in the studio, all the Twitch homies. Talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.